Hey guys! So this video is going to be my second bump date video and it is long overdue. Currently today I am 21 weeks, so I believe I am 21 weeks and 2 days today. So much that will be covered in this video I have already kind of went through. My emotions are going to be completely different than what you may be hearing in this video, but I wanted to go ahead and film this for you guys, and I'm going to try to get as many weeks done in this video as I possibly can. So if you missed my first bump date video, definitely go check it out. I will have it linked down below. With the rest of my bump date videos, I'm pretty much just gonna cover the entire week. I didn't do day by day because a lot of days were just very much the same. So I kind of just, anytime I felt any kind of symptom, I just quickly added it to my notes. And so I just kind of accumulated it all as 1 week. So for week 5, the symptoms were a very sore abdomen and breasts. So pretty much my entire front side was very sore. I remember that a lot at the beginning, just always feeling sore. Just something was different. It always felt like I really worked out extremely hard, and obviously I didn't. The next is I had cravings for pizza. I have from the beginning and even to this day have craved Italian food. I was expecting to crave Mexican food, but no, not at all. I've been all about Italian food, pizza, marinara sauce, which I don't usually like, anything just pizza related. I also had a strong craving for a hamburger, which is something I never usually crave, but I did have cravings for a hamburger. I put that I felt good all week. I just was extremely exhausted. I went to dinner for my dad's birthday and felt so sick before I ate. Okay, so that was the week of my dad's birthday. No one knew at that point that we were pregnant yet. And I remember going to dinner and honestly almost getting sick every 5 seconds. Like, I'm trying to hold conversations with people, but I wanted to just get up from the table and just get sick. And I was very shocked that I didn't. I did not feel good at all. I am so shocked that I was able to keep it down. As soon as we started eating some rice, because we went to a Japanese steakhouse, as soon as we had some rice or just some actual wholesome food, I felt 1,000,000% and I was able to actually pretend like I was not sick. But week 5 was actually the week that we decided to tell family. It was a personal decision. We originally wanted to wait until week 8 just to make sure that everything was okay. We were really worried to involve family when we weren't sure how the baby was or how everything was going. So we were going to wait until week 8, but we made the decision to just go ahead and let them know. And it honestly was the best decision for us. We wanted everyone to know. It felt really good being able to share the news. We told my parents and then we told his parents, and everyone was so excited, and that felt really good. And it just changed everything. It made things more real. It was nice having support from them. It was nice being able to finally talk to someone and see if what I was going through was normal. So it was really nice to let people in who were closest to me. And what made us have the decision to go ahead and tell everyone was because we knew that if something were to happen, we would want family there anyway. It would have been hard, and I would have needed their support and their advice and how I could cope with everything. So that's when we decided that it was a good time for us to go ahead and tell our family. So on to week 6. Week 6 is when everything just changed. Week 6 is when everything was heightened. I had way more nausea during week 6. I was way more uncomfortable. I could not sleep very well. I was waking up every couple of hours, mainly, I don't know if it was because of anxiety or what, but your sleep schedule completely changes when you're pregnant, and it's from a bunch of different reasons. My body was going through different stuff. I just had more discomfort. I was waking up a lot more. I wanted water all the time. I had a lot of aversions. That's when the aversions really started. Nothing sounded good, and when you're trying to explain how morning sickness is, basically you are so nauseous. You're hungry. You need to eat, but nothing sounds good. You don't want anything that you see in your mouth at all. You don't want to eat anything, but you have to. So that's kind of why I guess crackers are so good, because it's such a bland, plain taste, and it's something that will settle your stomach before you can actually have an actual meal. So before I would have dinner or lunch or anything, I would have some crackers or have something very bland, and then I had enough of an appetite to actually eat an actual meal. So week 6 is when the aversions totally started. Again, I guess I was craving burgers and pizza. I guess I got faint feeling before dinner, which is it's been not consistent. It was something that happened, I'd say, a couple of times during the pregnancy so far. I would get some heart palpitations before eating. I had really bad nausea. I put nausea was terrible this week, but discovered that using Tums seemed to get rid of nausea. So Tums doesn't always get rid of nausea, but during that time, there's certain times when your nausea is mainly caused from having acid in your stomach. Tums really did help during that week, I would have to say. Again, I got really sucked into forums. I put avoid forums. They will stress you out. Every single pregnancy is different. Not just every woman, but every pregnancy is different. Use the forum to help you celebrate, not to make you nervous. So put it this way, I have family members who have multiple children, and during each pregnancy, they felt different each time. They never had the same symptoms per pregnancy. So it doesn't just go by per woman, like if you have 5 pregnancies, all 5 are gonna be the same. Every single pregnancy is going to be different. You may get morning sickness with one, you may not get morning sickness, you may have like a really great labor for one and not so great the other. Every single pregnancy is completely different. So once you kind of get that in your head and you realize that you're not going to be the same as everyone else, it definitely helps you feel better. I guess I began feeling better by the weekend after learning that Tums helped. So I guess during that week I had a lot of acid and Tums was helping the most during that week. So now on to week 7. So week 7, I was feeling weak after dinner. I had a heavy chest, feeling of exhaustion, and major nausea. Again, pretty much the same. I had cramping, which led to sore, weak legs. There was a lot of times my legs felt so weak and like I didn't even want to walk. I felt tired. I worked out too hard, it seemed, or that's what it felt like, and it just was like no good. So I had that a lot during the beginning. I had a sore abdomen still, but I did have a little bit more energy, which is nice. I noted acid reflux, which if you guys have been following along my pregnancy bump dates on Instagram, you will see the acid reflux has been the one steady symptom I have had. Like, it is no joke, and I guess you can call it heartburn too. I didn't know it's technically the same thing, but yeah, I had suffered from that pretty much the beginning of the pregnancy. After learning ways to battle my nausea, I was feeling happier, went through minor depression week 6 from always feeling sick, which yes, during week 6 and really the first trimester, I would say, I would have days where I was just sad. And I was sad because I didn't feel good, and I would go on to social media and I would see all of these women, and even before getting pregnant, you always see these women just completely glowing with their pregnancy and just being so happy and excited, and I wasn't experiencing those feelings first trimester. I was always feeling sick and not feeling well, no energy whatsoever, no motivation. I just didn't want to do anything. There were so many times we had to cancel plans with friends just because I didn't have the energy to do it. I was exhausted and I didn't feel good, and I was tired of feeling that way because that's not normal for me. So I did have some days during the first trimester where I was like, oh, I wish I could just enjoy this pregnancy. And I would say it all the time. I'm like, I just want to enjoy this. And I wasn't during the first trimester, but I guess during week 7, I was feeling a lot better, which was nice. I had minor bouts of nausea, but nothing like week 5 and 6, but I did start getting, I guess, some minor headaches. And even to this day, being 21 weeks, I've yet to have taken any pain medicine for headaches. I have just lived through them. I haven't wanted to take, even when it comes to Tums, I would take like 1 Tum, like I'd say in a day. The most I've taken in a day was 5. And that's just because I'm trying to use other ways to get rid of my headaches, to get rid of my acid reflux. Now we're on to week 8. Week 8 is when things kind of got a little more exciting because this was the week of the very first appointment. So week 8, I had my first appointment. The ultrasound was great and the heartbeat was 160. I felt extremely overwhelmed and depressed after the appointment. I felt scared of all the risk. I almost felt like it was a failed pregnancy. I went home and cried my eyes out for about 2 days straight because I did go to that appointment alone. I had called ahead of time to ask what to expect, and my office, for whatever reason, told me to only strictly expect paperwork. No ultrasound, nothing, just strictly paperwork. And so I was like, oh, I can fill out these paperwork, you know, I don't need my husband to be there for this one. He had something going on that day that he could have canceled, but I told him not to. And so it just, I don't know why we did that, but anyway, I just went home completely depressed. I remember texting my mom and my best friend and just crying and crying and just feeling like I wasn't good enough and feeling like I wasn't gonna be a good enough, you know, I don't want to say mother, but someone to provide a home for my baby. I felt like I was a failure at that point. And I don't know if it was a surge of hormones or not, but I was super depressed that day. I was sore after the appointment, after the test and the appointment and everything, because they check everything. They check your like cervix, I think, and they check like your bone structure and everything. So they're checking a lot down there. And I felt really, really sore the rest of the day. I had acid reflux. I was starting to notice I was having to pee more often. I must have had a lot of hormones that week because I put that I cried because I was told I couldn't buy something. And I remember my husband told me I couldn't buy something, and I honestly literally ran in the room crying. I cried all day after the appointment for being overwhelmed and scared, which I already said. I had sensitive nipples, which hurt when they were touched, like in any way, like when I put a bra on or anything, they hurt. I had sore breasts, I guess, the rest of the week. 8-week 2-day, I had a lot of energy. I was much happier than I had been for a while. So I eventually just kind of realized that there was a lot of terminology when it came to pregnancy that I didn't know, and I didn't realize that there were certain things that the doctor was telling me, and I assumed I needed to do those things, but then I learned, no, you don't have to do what the doctor's saying. Like, there was a ton of tests, and one thing, like the best thing I can tell any future mama-to-bees who have not gone through pregnancy yet, you are going to be thrown a million tests in your face. They are going to tell you about every single test there is on the market. And just know, more than half of them are completely unnecessary. Everybody, again, has different risks, have different reasonings to take different tests, and so I didn't realize that, and I just assumed when she was throwing tests in my face, they all meant I needed to take them and that I was at risk, and I just felt like that meant I had to do it. And so that's where a lot of me being overwhelmed came from. And obviously I can say that, you know, now that I've had tons of appointments and I get how it works, I get, you know, they'll tell you about a test you can take, but it doesn't mean you need to take it. So we'll also get into that a little bit later on, but yeah, like, just know when they say recommended or not recommended, it doesn't, again, mean what you think it does. When they say it's a recommended test, it just means that you may kind of fall into that category. You could be a candidate for that test, but it doesn't mean you have to take it. It doesn't mean that they are telling you, I recommend you take the test. And then also, in the same respect, they may say, oh, it's not recommended that you take it. And that doesn't mean that it is a risky test. It means that you're not really a candidate and they don't feel you need to take the test. It's not something they feel you really have to. So there's so much terminology, you guys, that like may freak you out, and that's really when I got overwhelmed. And once I learned that that's how the whole pregnancy world goes, all of my fears and worries went out the door. So I did end up feeling better a few days after the appointment. I did start noticing that I couldn't sleep on my back for long. I would wake up with very sore breasts if I did. I guess this was the only week. This was the only time I put this, but I guess I had fallen in love with pickles that week. I have loved pickles even before pregnancy, but I put first time having pickles since being pregnant, and yes, they are just as amazing as every pregnant woman says. They were delicious. And seriously, like, I just kind of craved them that one day, and I haven't really touched them ever since. Actually, in the next bullet, I put, actually scratch that. I only wanted them that one day, and now I don't want to think about them. Now, being in the second trimester, I could eat them, no problem. I have no problem with pickles now, but it was like a craving, but at the same time, like an aversion. If you can hear the dogs running around, I'm sorry. I don't know what they are like freaking out about, but they're freaking out about something. I put cookies and ice cream I want 99% of the time. Still to this day, 100% true. And then I put nausea came back at the end of the week. When I was at my 8-week appointment, I remember telling the doctor, like, I've been feeling okay, is that normal? And it was only like maybe 3 days straight that I felt good. And so I was saying, oh, I feel really good. You know, is that okay to be already feeling fine? And she's like, yeah, you know, that's great. I think she knew that that's kind of how pregnancy works. You'll have morning sickness some days and not on others. So she was like, yeah, that's fine. But pretty much knowing it would come back, I think. We are gonna go ahead and move into week 9. During week 9, I had nausea that came in earlier during the day. Nausea usually came in at the beginning around, I would say, about 5 to 6 o'clock p.m. Now, starting at week 9, it started coming around like anywhere between 1 and 3. 3 was like the main like soft spot that like the nausea really liked to come in during the day. I didn't suffer from any like morning sickness. Like when I woke up in the morning, I always felt great. I always wanted my eggs. Everything was perfect, which makes me happy because breakfast time is my favorite time of the day. So I was really happy that everything remained fine for breakfast time. I also started to try to use the Preggy Pops, which never worked for me. I think they worked like one time. But other than that, Preggy Pops never worked for me. I was getting headaches every single night, the past couple of nights I put. Nausea has definitely peaked, feeling the worst I felt the entire pregnancy. And yes, it kind of seemed like the further along I got, the worse the nausea got up until I hit the second trimester. So I tried C-bands for the first time, and they, along with toast, actually worked. After the 2 days of nausea, I started feeling better than before, minor nausea here and there. This entire pregnancy, I always will have 2 days each week that I don't feel good at all. Either it's nausea or it's just pure exhaustion, and it always seems to happen. There's just 2 days back to back I just don't feel good, and it's been that way this entire pregnancy. So the next thing I put were my boobs weren't nearly as painful, which was nice. On Thanksgiving, I woke up with severe lower back pain. I don't know what caused it. I think it's the way I sleep, because right now I'm suffering from it too. But I think it's the way that I was sleeping at that time during Thanksgiving. It was embarrassing how I was having to walk. I was walking at like a 90-degree angle. It was so embarrassing. I felt like an old lady. I was so embarrassed walking by anyone, and it just was not, it was not fun. My back was just killing me. On Thanksgiving, my brother actually had an at-home Doppler for when he had his daughter. So they had an at-home Doppler, which my brother then gave to me to use for the pregnancy, and I got to hear the baby's heartbeat for the first time. That is one of the videos on my computer that no longer works, and I'm hoping that Apple updates it to where that video starts working again, but I would have loved to have shared it with you guys, but it doesn't work anymore. That has been probably the most heartbreaking video to lose on my computer. It's the one I can't get back, and it breaks my heart. But yes, I heard the heartbeat for the very first time, and the second I heard it, I just dropped the Doppler and just bawled my eyes out. And my sister was just like, oh my gosh, was that it? And she's freaking out along with me, because it was just she and I in the room. And she's freaking out, and she went and she got my husband, and then my husband heard. He got so excited, he called my mom in the room, and then everyone came in, and we all listened to the heartbeat. And I remember I was so emotional. I was just crying my eyes out. It was such an amazing sound to hear for the first time. It's so fast. And not only that, it was like you had to perfectly have the Doppler in like the perfect spot, because the baby is so small. The Doppler had to like perfectly be in the right spot, and I was able to find it, which was so cool. So yeah, that was the first time I ever heard the heartbeat. So now we're gonna go into week 10. I still was suffering from really bad lower back pain. I think that time it was out for about 4 days. Dinner time nausea has started to set in, and I can't even think about preparing food. My husband had to make dinner a couple times during that week just because I just didn't feel up to it, and I didn't feel good, and I was not gonna make dinner that week. I was having much more stomach pains than usual, maybe gas. Overnight, my stomach would I'd wake up from like a pain in my stomach. And it felt like gas. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, because I still will get that randomly. Weird pains in like very weird spots. Sometimes it'll be in my back, in my like belly area, upper, lower, doesn't matter. I still kind of experience that a little bit. I put very sore pains in lower right. That's where I hear the heartbeat. I don't know if the baby was like making that area stretch or something, but I guess I had lower pains. During week 10, I actually had to take the glucose test, and I had to do my blood work. I actually had to do the glucose test because there are people in my family who do have diabetes. It just was something that the doctor and I had agreed would be a good idea, but I was terrified, you guys. Like, I was terrified of taking the glucose test because I had heard so many horror stories. But I'm not even gonna lie, like, if you guys saw that vlog, I had no issues with the glucose test. Like, it did make me a little bit, I don't want to say nauseous, but it made me feel off for maybe the first 20 minutes after I drank it. After that, I was fine, and honestly, the taste was delicious, and I passed it with no problems. I am facing that test here in the next couple of weeks, so I'm hoping it is just as good as last time and I won't have any problems, but yeah. It really was not as bad as you guys may think. I put glucose drink was orange and surprisingly tasted good. I felt a little weird and hungry for carbs after drinking it. It could have just been nerves. It could have been nerves, and it also could have been the morning sickness time is why I needed carbs and I needed food. Like, I felt like I needed to eat something. I was tired all day after the glucose test, but it wasn't that bad. I definitely recommend eat well after the test. I didn't eat well the rest of the day and had terrible heartburn and acid reflux. So yeah, definitely eat well after. I think I ended up having like a bagel after the test or something like that, which probably wasn't a very good idea considering that's more like sugar, carbs that kind of turn to sugar. So I don't know. People were saying the stuff that they ate, so I was like, you know what, I'll eat a bagel. So it was fine, but I did have I felt exhausted the rest of the day. That's the week that I realized that getting into my car made me nauseous. The smell of it, the thought of being in the car, Anytime I knew I had to get in the car, I immediately got nauseous. I put a little motion sickness, but the strong new car smell is what made me the most nauseous. It has been for weeks, so yeah. And also motion sickness was real the first trimester. And sometimes I even have that now, depending on the last time I ate. Sometimes I still get motion sickness in the car. Stomach pains when I lay in bed, possibly gas, but it's hurt since week 9 almost every night when I lay in bed. It takes a while before I can fall asleep, and then I wake up feeling okay. So yeah, pretty much it would hurt the entire night, and then as soon as I wake up in the morning, like whatever pain I was experiencing during the night completely vanishes. It's so weird. Lots of lower back pains and pelvic area pain, maybe round ligaments. I think that's when that round ligament started. I had a lot of anxiety waiting on blood work, and I then put mood swings outbreak, no patience. Yes, I got so nervous for my glucose test and also other tests. I just wanted to be 100% healthy for this baby, and I remember like being so afraid to get the results. And finally when I got them, like everything was fine, but I was so afraid to get them. I wanted to know that I was doing everything I possibly could to have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby. So I had a lot of anxiety waiting for my results. I had only done blood work maybe, I don't even know, like half a year before I did this blood work, and my blood work was fine then. I guess assumed all of a sudden everything would be changed and it'd be a terrible nightmare, and I had a lot of anxiety. It was real. Now we're on to week 11, which will be the last week I cover in this video. So for week 11, I had major exhaustion and nausea, more pains in my uterus area, stabbing pains, round ligament. Not sure, I wasn't sure if it was round ligament pains. I heard the baby's heartbeat on the left side this time, loud and clear. All of week 10, I tried finding it and it was hard to find, was always muffled by another sound. Never checked the left side, only right side, since that's where the baby was the first time. Very first time I checked it, which was in week 9, the baby was like very low and close to my bone on the right side. That's where I could hear the heartbeat at least. And then I remember all of week 10 not being able to really hear it much. I'd find it, but it was very faint. And honestly, when I came to like the at-home Doppler, it's a very controversial thing because a lot of doctors don't recommend that you have one. And the reason why is because it will scare moms if they can't find the heartbeat. And I knew that ahead of time, so I knew if I couldn't find it some days, it wasn't a big deal. It didn't mean there was any problem. So it didn't cause me any anxiety on the days that I heard it muffled or I didn't hear it well. At that point, it was only week 10, so I knew not to freak out. So I've always been okay with having an at-home Doppler. Then I realized that the baby has a lot of room to move around in there, so that's when I knew to go to the other side or check somewhere else, and that's when I found the heartbeat somewhere else. So that's probably why I couldn't find it week 10. I was never checking on the left side. Again, lots of stabbing pain in pelvic area and lower back. I had a lot of gas. Gas life is real during pregnancy. Oh my gosh. I put lots of waking up in the middle of the night with stomach pains. Again, probably gas. And yes, like gas pains really hurt. Like it's no joke, and they're not fun. I guess I was having harder stools. You guys are welcome for this. Oh, you guys are so welcome. Friday was great, no nausea at all. I think my mindset is super important. The fact I went out last night and got some time with my family really helped bring my mindset back to feeling normal. Yes, again, during those weeks, I still had some days where I felt sad because of the nausea, or that I maybe wasn't healthy enough for the pregnancy, maybe the baby wasn't healthy. There's so many things to worry about and anxiety and everything that just being able to get out of the house and kind of forget, not forget I was pregnant, but you know what I mean, put my mind somewhere else for a while, helped tremendously. So if you guys are experiencing anxiety during your pregnancy, I highly recommend just getting out of the house and getting your mind set on something different for a little bit. It doesn't mean that you don't enjoy being pregnant or you're not happy to be pregnant, but it is healthy to get your mind somewhere else for a little bit. As hard as it is, stay as busy as you can. Last day of 11 weeks, appetite is back, still nauseous, but could eat all day, and I was getting some headaches again at nighttime. So yes, during week 11 is when I guess I started feeling like I could eat a little bit more, which it has fluctuated. Like, it changes all the time. Like, even being in week 21, there's days I don't want to eat at all. Like, nothing sounds good. Just sometimes you're not inspired by food and you just don't want to eat any food. You have enough stuff going on in your body that you're like, yeah, no, I don't want food right now. So anyway, that is everything I'm going to cover in this video. I will get my next bump date video out to you guys much quicker than I did this one, and hopefully we can catch up a ton and get things kind of rolling. I'm sorry for any lighting changes in this video. I try to use natural light and it doesn't always work to my advantage. Just to quickly cover this as well, I am not showing my bump in my bump date videos until I catch up. Once I catch up, it will make more sense. If I show you guys my bump now, it is completely off to these weeks. So once I catch up, that's when I will start showing you guys my bump. But if you guys are interested to see what my bump looked like starting at week 15, you guys can check my Instagram account because that's where I post all of those photos. That is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys ever have any questions about pregnancy, you guys are nervous, you guys are scared, you guys need advice, I'm here for you guys. Definitely send me a message. I recommend sending it on Instagram. That's where I check it the most. That is like my jam. Instagram, you will always catch me over there. So definitely send it over there. And yeah, definitely check the links down below. I always have links to all of my social medias, any videos that I feel you guys might want to see. And also all of my favorite products are always linked down below. I get a lot of questions on maybe the shirt I'm wearing or earrings or something like that. So check the links down below if you guys have any questions in regards to that.